The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Q Points. Welcome to I Come Alive, Stories of Black Gay Atlanta Nightlife. I am your host, DJ Sir Daniel. This series strives to tell the stories of Atlanta's gay nightlife from the perspective of the people who lived it. Words can't express my gratitude for your support. And we've come to the season finale of I Come Alive, and I can't think of a better way to put the exclamation point on this series than with a conversation with Atlanta's godfather of house music, DJ Ron Pullman. Since 1986, Ron Pullman set a standard for how a party should sound. He has also cultivated a community that continues to hold space for the divine vibration we call house music. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ron Pullman. While I was fixing the stuff to get in here, I had a quick recollection. I want to say that Brother Jamal or Stanley, the Music Man, somebody put it in my ear that I needed to go while you were playing and go up to the booth and introduce myself to you and like observe you playing. And I remember doing that one time at the Eagle when it was on Ponce, the old Kodak factory. And it just came back to me like, oh yeah, first of all, that's wild that somebody would suggest that I come and like introduce myself while a DJ is at work, because that doesn't always go over well necessarily.
Absolutely. That is the truth.
But you were very gracious to me. You just pointed out a couple things about how things work at that particular venue, like what you were using, because I believe it was some CDJs and the mixer and whatnot. And I was just like, listen, I appreciate that. I'm just going to step back and watch you for a minute, because we all know as a DJ, you just don't, it's cool to have somebody observing, but you don't want somebody observing and asking a whole bunch of questions at the same time, because that's interrupting the flow.
True. You know very well.
So before we go into this conversation about Atlanta history, I want the listeners to know more about your history and just tell us a little bit about the Pullman Soul movement.
Well, I've actually been DJing for 4 decades.
So
it's been like
40 now.
It's been over 40 years, to be honest with you. So it would be 30-something years for Atlanta. I didn't start. I'm originally from the Midwest, born in St. Louis. Went to high school in Denver, and shockingly, out of all places, that's where I started and learned to DJ, is in Denver, Colorado. And so, but my music background and influence come from my dad. My dad was a singer, musician, mostly gospel music. So growing up as a kid around the house, I'm constantly being influenced by him practicing, singing, and so on and so forth. And one of my siblings, my oldest brother, was into music. So between them two, those were my earlier or first influence is in the music and getting into music. Because I said Denver is where I started doing private parties, gigs, and so on and so forth. It wasn't until 1984 where I had my first big club gig. Was at a club in Houston, Texas. It was called the Catch One. It was actually a sister club of the Catch One in LA.
In LA, okay.
Yeah, the original Catch One was LA, but they had another club in Houston, Texas. And that's where I did my first big club gig in 1984 in Houston, Texas. And so it wasn't until 86 that I moved to Atlanta and started spinning and connected with, if you know the club, later became, well, it was Trax. But prior to Trax, I connected, how I got connected in the Atlanta scene was through the late David Hampton and his partner Philip Boone, who's still around. Those guys, they were doing parties called the Ritz Boys, late night parties, underground parties here in Atlanta. I moved here around the spring of '86, and 2 weeks after I moved here, I started playing for those guys. Is how I got started, and that's what kicked off my DJ history career here in Atlanta. But answer your question, I'll respond about the Pullman Soul.
Yes.
That name or title didn't come along until, to be honest with you, until the late '90s, 2000. And a good friend actually thought it would be a good, catchy name for me. And since he created that, I've been riding with it since probably '99, 2000, I think. But yeah, so it's a lot of history I can give you about it. If you want me to expand on that, I will. But yeah, as I said, '86 is when I started with the Ritz Boys. Did that for a couple years. We then by '89, that's when Tracks opened up, and
on Marietta Street.
Yeah, it was on. Initially, you would enter in on Marietta Street. Then they changed it to Lucky Street.
Street.
Depending on the night, you can enter in either street entrance. And so, yeah, that's what started that. The Planet Tracks. It was the resident DJs were Stuart Gardner and myself, and we did that for a couple of years, and then both left and went on to some other club ventures. So, people entitle or call me Atlanta's Godfather House, and that's very appreciative. I'm honored and flattered and I embrace that. However, I surely do not claim to be the first, the longest, or whatever. There were several DJs who were doing things here, such as a guy named Al Tolver, Rod Cole, Stuart Gardner, as I just mentioned. So, and Dash Wright, DJ Smash, all those guys. And a lot of people I'm probably missing. So, unfortunately, those guys, some are no longer here, or some just were smart enough and got out of the business earlier, no longer doing it. So if I'm rattling on, just cut me off anytime, but I'm giving you the history I think you're asking.
Yes.
So leading up to how I got into it and how I'm still doing it 40 years later. And so yeah, we did Tracks, as I said, and then for a couple years, like '91, I think I started doing just other than I started doing radio mixes for Atlanta's V103. I was doing parties in the college scene. I was doing both straight and gay clubs at that time. I was and working a full-time job at Atlanta Public Schools and DJing 3 or 4 nights a week.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's heavy. I mean, a lot of people do that these days, but I don't think like your average DJ that's coming up to date, they don't understand that at that time, your library was in crates, and that took a truck or a lot of manpower to take with you everywhere. So that's a lot of manpower. Whereas today, you fold up your laptop and you pack your hard drive and you're good to go.
That's true.
So I don't think a lot of people have an appreciation for how much work it took to rock a party back then. So you're saying from '86, and we've gone. You mentioned working the full-time job and spending 3 to 4 times a week doing mixes on for V103, which is still considered the largest urban radio station in the city of Atlanta. It's now a heritage station, in my opinion, because it's been around for so long. And I actually worked there at one point myself. Yeah, in the early 2000s. But back to, I guess, the paint a picture for the average listener right now that wants to know in those the mid to late 80s, early 90s, if I wanted to go out, how would I have found out about the Ritz Boys or tracks? If I, to say I'm completely new to Atlanta, there's no internet. Um, I don't know if the flyers were being circulated at that time, but if I wanted to find out where I could go party with my community, how did I find that out? How did I find that out? How did I get that kind of information and know where to hear Ron Pullman and those other DJs spinning?
Well, it definitely was a heavy flyers. We during that era and time, flyers were definitely essential. Um, so at that time, Atlanta had, I think, a decent amount, still do, a decent amount of gay clubs and just immense. So I would say the promoters, how you could find out, the promoters were very diligent, very good about just putting up posters or putting flyers on cars or in the barber shops or the whatever businesses they were very big about putting up posters or leaving flyers in places that they knew perhaps the family would go and would pick up flyers. But the biggest thing that always worked and in business still to this day, word of mouth. If you got something hot that's going on and people know, if the word is on the street, they connect and talk to the right people, or just happen to bump into a person that, and if they just say, "Hey, I'm new in town, and this is what I'm looking. I'm looking for underground house music party or so on." If it's hot and the word is on the street, people will let you know. But like I say, during that era in time, just like you say, how it was so true what you say about what the DJs, the music we had to carry and the work we put in. But even the promoters they were to the streets, or I had a street team. So yeah, everything now, of course, is digital or social media. But yeah, during that era of time, you did your work.
So I want to tell you a funny story that happened one time. I was given a flyer at one point that said this was a hip hop party at the warehouse, because they were calling tracks both. They were calling it the warehouse on certain nights, and they were calling it tracks on other nights.
And they would change that depending on which entrance you would go through as well.
Exactly. So imagine my surprise when I got there thinking this was going to be a hip hop night, and I was clearly at the wrong night.
Yeah. But see, that's what you're talking about came along after it initially opened. But the first maybe 2.5 years, surely three, uh, it was straight up underground Black Gay club. Yeah.
So what I know about you, Ron, is that you have a history with a landmark of a record store here in Atlanta called Earwax. And recently, like late last year in 2023, Earwax had a celebration there was a museum type exhibit created to mimic what Earwax looked like in the 90s. And of course, I saw the pictures, and there's Ron Pullman alongside, JC, Applejack, Kemet, all of those brothers. And so I'm wondering, as DJs in the community, and you were already doing your thing, when you're making your rounds and making your name for yourself around the city, does the conversation about playing at gay clubs come up with your peers, with your DJ peers?
Well, most of them knew. Most of them knew that I played. And they would, and a good amount would come. I don't know if I should tell this story now, but anyway.
I mean, if we have to bleep the name out, we can bleep the name out.
I'm gonna describe this in a way that people can probably figure it out.
Okay.
So one is a popular producer, who's doing extremely well, or at least for years he did, who used to DJ with me at one of the gay clubs. I mean, he would just come and just watch and so on and so forth. I mean, it was so for some reason it seemed like it wasn't a big deal or a big thing. These guys, they for whatever reason, I don't know if they just wanted me to mentor or they just actually enjoyed coming to hear me play, and it was great. But they would come and hang out in the booth most of the time, and they would just, like I say, or some of them would come and spin. I'll let them open up for me and so on. So again, but most of them knew from everybody I worked with at Earwax to, like you say, JC, Kemet, all the guys knew that I played at tracks or most of the popular Black Gay underground clubs in the city. And then, they all they're like, hey, you know what? You do your thing. And it was just mad respect. It was no biggie. And if they felt like coming out that particular night or weekend or playing, they would. It was no biggie. And I love them guys, appreciate them because that just speaks in volume that, about who they are and confident in who they are. And more importantly, it's about the music. You're not worried about you shouldn't be uncomfortable if you know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, everybody, pretty much any and everybody, surely everybody I worked with at Earwax knew that the gay clubs is what I was known for and planned. And yeah, it was just mad respect and support. And like I said, I still have some of these guys that I've known for years that may come to the Eagle, and they'll come in. Now some of them, I feel like they can rock the crowd at the Eagle. I'll
Mm-hmm.
allow them to play, but I'm very, very protective of my Eagle crowd. I don't just let anybody play that.
Hey, you know,
Straight or gay. They got to come with it.
they got to come with it. And I'm so glad you said that you're very protective of your crowd, because I always feel like the relationship between the DJ and the party people is a reciprocal one. And like after now 40 years of doing it, do you feel as if the audiences are still giving you what you need as a DJ?
Um, yes, I would say yes for the most part. The reason why I hesitate, because since the new Eagle location, the dynamics of the crowd has changed.
Mm.
But it's good. As you know, coming to the older Eagle, you come in on first Fridays, it was just the energy and the vibe was. I mean, it was. As you see, I'm not trying to brag a boast, but it was something to be reckoned. You
Oh,
just
absolutely. No. Please brag, because you listen. Everybody that's listening to this podcast or watching a clip or whatever has to know the name Ron Pullman is synonymous with like not just house music, but superior parties and having people still actually dance at parties. So please do not
I
hold back.
appreciate the kind words. As a matter of fact, I may be hiring you as my agent.
Please let the
But
people know. But you're absolutely right. I can say that as a DJ and somebody that's attended, I can say that you completely have a grip on the crowd. Like other DJs come to witness it too. Tracy Levine, all of all the people like that are here in the city that are, especially the house heads, know they will follow you wherever you go, and that's a testament to what you do. But you were talking about audiences still giving back to you what you need from them, because we feed off of them as much as they feed off of us.
absolutely. So yes, to answer your question, yes. Um, I referenced the old Eagle because it was just. I mean, it took a little time to build. What we've been doing the Eagle, as far as me being affiliated with the Eagle, it's been about 14 years now.
Okay.
To answer your question about if the crowd is giving me what I need, it's just a little different because the dynamic is different at the new location. The new is much younger and is a little bit more diverse. First Friday was probably 90% African American or Black, and now it may be 70% where it's It's more younger people, which is great because we need younger people to keep this vibe going. I embrace it,
Absolutely.
but it's a catch to it. It's sort of a catch-22 situation. So due to the new location and its popularity, the new Eagle location, the older heads is feeling like it's taken away. It's taken. They're not able to dance like they with the freedom or the space like they're accustomed to. They
Okay.
feel like, of course, it's losing some of its undergroundness. I guess if that's how one wants to put it, we should embrace growth if it's the right growth in technology, but you don't want to lose the substance or whatever it was that made you popular. And so it can be a little tricky keeping that balance. So fortunately, a good amount of the people still come, but some of the heads don't come. So which I can, when I'm looking out into the crowd, people are dancing and moving, but it's not that energy that the old Eagle had. They will go in hard at the old Eagle. The energy and the vibe of the older location, it just had become, it was just a spot you can go to and you can release. It may not have the energy completely as the previous. I hope that answers your question, right? Yeah.
It does, and I'll say this as somebody who's been there. I think one of the differences at the we'll say the Kodak, the old Eagle, was you were there. I could literally reach out and touch you, like at in that space at the Eagle, and there was enough, like you said, there was enough room for everybody to dance. That you could see the bar from the booth, and vice
Absolutely.
versa. We could still see you.
Mhm.
At the new location, because you are centered upstairs, right?
Right. I'm upstairs.
You're
Yes.
upstairs, and I think, and because there are different levels, there's also the outdoor patio. I think I'm wondering if that separation kind of has something to do with it, because I know that I've played places where if I'm separated from the people and I don't see them, I'm just I'm just playing music. I'm not
Absolutely.
really vibing off of them and vice versa. So I think
Absolutely.
I feel what you're saying, and I think that might have something to do with the dynamic. And it's interesting that you bring up the two different venues now, and the different places, and all the different venues that have been come and gone in the city of Atlanta. Do DJs, specifically Black DJs, do we have to have a responsibility to take a stand against venues that benefit from Black dollars but don't necessarily respect the patrons?
Yeah, absolutely. We should take a stand. I can say hmm, I have been through the phase of being unappreciated and feel like people are taking advantage. As much as people may consider me a DJ, if I go into an establishment and start a residency or monthly or whatever, it is important to me. I don't just show up just to play music and get paid and leave. It is important to me that my supporters, crowd, family is treated right. It was a club that I was doing a monthly at several years ago. They didn't even have the air conditioning working. And I told them, this crowd coming here and they make you a lot of money. If you don't get this air conditioning fixed, I'm leaving. It's important to me that you're not going to treat my crowd and my people less than if it was another crowd. No, we bring you a lot of money. Our dollars is very important. Going into a place and I'm just playing and I'm just getting paid. No, I want the sound has to be right. I'm known for being a jerk if the sound is not right for me because I can't do my job properly. I'm like, if people coming up, my crowd, the people that support me mostly come out and they want to dance. They want to know that I'm not perfect. I have my off nights, but they
Mhm.
want to know that if the sound is right, if I'm doing whatever, because they've had a rough day, week, or whatever, or what's going on, they coming out, they want to release. So yeah, me going into bars, clubs, venues, whatever, it is important. There's so many things. There's quite a few things that I want to be right. Nothing's going to be perfect, but
Right.
I want it to be right, and my people to be treated right. So yes, I would say this: what I love about the owner of the Eagle, I he has been very, very accommodating. He is truly about the community, black, white, Latin, whatever. He is truly, for my years of dealing with him, he is truly about the community. Um, and he understands the importance, and he don't take for granted what we have accomplished at First Friday. So I would say pretty much if there's an issue or something I need or whatever, he is very accommodating. And that's important to me. Like I said, it's not all about me. Yes, I want the things, whatever it takes for me to do my job or my gig properly, but I also want my people to be treated right and properly. That is very important to me. I had another club in the city, not too far from the Eagle, wanted me to do a night, and I declined because I didn't like the way, particularly, my people would be treated there. That's
Mhm.
important to me. And so, all money ain't good money. So,
That's what they
so
say, and I'm so happy to hear you say that. And because I believe, I'm gonna use an I statement. I believe the city of Atlanta owes its appeal, its economic growth. I think it owes a lot of that to its black queer citizens because if you've lived here for a certain amount of time, you know that after every holiday weekend, and the black gay community, we love a holiday weekend because that's people are going to come in from out of town, and we know that we're going to be entertained, whether it be specifically DJs that are coming to town to play, or the DJs that are residents here. There might be performers, etc. So you've got all the holidays, Labor Day weekend, which has become Atlanta Black Gay Pride weekend. After each of those milestones every year, I know that there has been tremendous population growth in the city of Atlanta, and that brings economic growth as well.
absolutely.
So I'm thinking to myself, is there something and I'm wondering out loud, is there something that the city of Atlanta could do economically to empower ownership of spaces created for the black gay community? Because what I hear a lot, what people are saying, well, the reason why the clubs are disappearing is because nobody owns the bill. We don't own these properties. We don't own these buildings. Well, is there something maybe the city of Atlanta could do to say, look, this is we I don't know, through some type of movement or some type of thing that they put in place, we have empowered this black promoter, this black group of people, to get some type of economic stimulus so that they can have this building so that we could point at it and say, this here is a landmark. This is a place where the black community has gathered for the past 20 plus years as a space. Is there something that the city of Atlanta could do, you think?
Hmm.
Almost like a reparations. No matter
Yeah,
how you
now
think
I
about it, it
get your
sounds like
point.
reparations.
No, I mean, no, definitely, the black gay community definitely has made a strong impact, and definitely need to be acknowledged without a doubt. Yes, if you've been around for the past decade or few or so on, yes, it is. You will see what the black gay community has provided for the city of Atlanta. You're right. That's what bring a lot of people, if not move here, surely come
Mhm.
here on a regular basis. I mean, it's so funny. I want to get a sidetrack because I'm gonna get back to your point, but to sort of piggyback on what you're saying, just the people coming here, and they come here whether for a weekend or. But I talk to guys who come to the Eagle now, even at the old location, who come in from DC or New York. They come into the city once a month. Maybe not always for the Eagle, but they do come in for once a month to come party and hang out because they're not getting. Atlanta needs to stand up and be proud. There's things that this city is giving the Black gay community that you don't even get in other major cities like LA. You don't even get stuff in, and then I'm not trying to put these cities down. I'm just saying that we offer uh, so much for the Black gay community in the city. The city of Atlanta should definitely recognize and be proud. Back to your point, what the city could do, and if I think some what you're asking also, you were mentioning something about uh, a Black owned uh,
Yeah,
business.
black owned spaces, or
Okay, so
because that's the common thread is the reason why these spaces, these safe spaces, are disappearing is because there's no ownership, no real ownership in the community.
well, um, I don't know if it's necessarily because Black is why they disappearing. Um, because I've known people who have had who are Black owners have had Black career spaces, and they were lucky to last a year or two.
Mm.
Let's just be honest. Like I said, people come here and this is a on the same token. So it's two things that I see why the spaces are maybe even more, but two particular why things don't sustain. One with the younger crowd, things are trendy. If something is hot 6 months, it may not be hot a year from now.
Mm.
And the other thing with my age group, particularly, uh, once a month seems to work for them. If I was to buy and do a club, I would be afraid that I would be afraid that I will be able to sustain because people in my age group, maybe a little younger, some even a little older, they don't come out every week. And so I would have to resort to some other crowds to keep me afloat.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
then if that crowd is there who they don't like, let's say a hip hop crowd, a young hip hop crowd, they'd be like, okay, Ron is catering to these folks, and I'm not going back to his club because. So you those are the things the challenges you have being a club owner, and if you don't have the resources to sustain. And a lot of things closed down during the COVID era period that was not able to sustain. Black or white, it didn't matter. If you were not being supported, you just lost out. But again, I just think the challenge with Atlanta, it's particularly with the younger crowd, it's trendy. They like I say, whatever is hot to this 6 months, it may be something different 6 months or a year from now. And so you done invested your savings, a lot of money, and you'll be SOL a year or two from later. And
Yeah.
so I mean, people have asked me all the time, why don't you get your own club? And I've thought about it many times, but I'm like, do I want to take that chance or risk and and uh and not be supported? Yeah, people come out once a month to hear me play. Like I say, my age group mostly who comes out once a month. That's all they need. That's all they feel like. That's all they need or they want. And so, but again, back to your point about the city recognizing Black and stuff. There's definitely need to be some Black spaces that need to be to acknowledged
Mm.
and so on and so forth. Uh, I don't know of any Black, particularly Black clubs, establishment that are exclusively Black owned or ran right now. And maybe there are, and I'm just can't think of it. Um, I don't want to keep referencing the Eagle, but I will say again, the relationship that I have had with the owner, uh, he has been very accommodating to me, and if I have an issue or something that was addressed and that's particularly pertaining to the Black gay car, he's been very accommodating.
I
Yes, I wish I'm sorry to be rambling on, but yes,
I
I
know.
wish that we had our own, and we would support it. If we have our own and we support it, I'm down for it. Let's make it
Mhm.
happen. But it's a challenge or it's a risk. Ooh, I don't have that kind of money to spare
Listen,
to take that risk. But I do
I
plan to do some things that hopefully that would help out. I have some things in plan.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's hopeful. That's I
Yeah.
like hearing that,
Yeah.
and I'm glad you brought up that perspective of because I fall into that crowd as well, where my friends and I, you know, First Friday is a thing, and that's okay because you're absolutely right. We're not in that space anymore of back in the days it was Monday nights at Tracks for the Monday night show, Tuesday night Thugged Out Tuesday at 7:08, Wednesday Bible study, Thursday you're at 7:08 again, and then Friday and Saturdays, the Marquette, this Tracks, and then Sunday you're in church. There was a time where we'd be going out every single day of the week, but as you get older, you're absolutely right. We can't sustain that at our big ages, and our bodies are not allowing us to do that anymore. But
Well, I'm sorry. Let me just say this before we move
yes.
on to the next point. And another thing, we also that sort of I want to use my words correctly. I don't want to say ruin, but change the dynamics of clubs being supportive. Let's just be honest. People are online and social media. They get their fix and they hook up online that they feel like they don't have to go out to the club. They get door service these days. So,
Let's call a thing
so
a thing. Let's call a thing a thing. You're absolutely right. I was laughing with another friend the other day about we were laughing about those the phone chat lines
yeah,
before, because of course we didn't have cell phones and we didn't have the internet. And so
absolutely,
you met people on chat lines
absolutely.
at point. Um, but you're absolutely right. And to harken back a point we made earlier about you particularly creating a sense of community with your crowd. You know, you're able to go out and do parties at local parks, and people will come follow you because you bring a great sound. Shout out to your to the people that provide sounds for you. One of them is my guy Herbie, DJ Herb, does
Mhm,
a lot of sound. He and I used to work at V, so that's how I know
mhm.
him. And you always bring great sound, and people will come to you wherever you are. And I think that's very important to say again, because you cultivated that kind of relationship. So I'm wondering, is it on the DJs? Is it us and not necessarily promoters or club owners? Do we need to start cultivating these relationships with the community so that they feel like they have someplace trustworthy to go to, and will be able to feel like they'll be protected, they'll be safe, and they'll also be entertained with the music that they want to hear?
I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely believe the DJ. That's not a bad thing for most DJs to do. I just know today DJs wear more hats than you once were. You just don't show up. It's like what you did back in the day with a crate of records or whatever. Obviously, you show up with flash drive and headphones, and if the establishment have what you need,
Mm-hmm.
you just show up. But no, but to your point, you should. I know for me, I wear more hats. It's important for me again to. I I again, like I said, having a relationship with the club, the sound people, the promotion aspect, all those things from is important to me to I think that's what has helped me have a successful run in this business. I've for quite some time, I like I said, I wear a lot of hats or several hats to make sure that my events, perhaps my night, is successful overall. Because as again, I'm a jerk when it comes to sound. That's important to me. But again, like I say, I want people to feel comfortable when they walk into the establishment. I want from the staff greeting them and being polite to going to the bar, that they're not being gouged or they're not being, all those things are important to me. Again, and I of course, unless somebody bring it to my attention, but I'm playing. So I'm DJing. I mean, I know what's going on if somebody being treated unfairly and whatever. Again, I'm getting sidetracked. But yes, it's not a bad idea for a DJ to be more involved and and making sure and reaching out to people and making sure things are correct. I hope that answered your question. I may have gotten sidetracked.
No, actually, I appreciate your answers to that question. Because I feel it as far as having to wear multiple hats and, you got to promote yourself. And what I do have a fun question. If you were able to bring back any venue in Black Gay Atlanta in that Black Gay Atlanta past of clubs, which club would that be?
Oh, wow. Any black gay club.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a tough one. I would say I wasn't involved with this, but I would say what I enjoyed when I moved here, maybe a year or two after I had been here. So there was this female promoter, woman named Gloria, and she had an organization called Friends. And Friends, she did parties at different locations. But probably her longest venue or spot she used. So it was a club that was across from Loretta's. It used to be called 688. It used to be called Weekends. It used to be called Weekends. 688 Spring Street.
Did this
And
turn into the Apache?
yeah, it was like, okay, you know where the alleyway where Apache is
Yes.
located?
Uh-huh.
If you were to the back entrance of that alleyway, if you walked, okay, you know what's Concentra now?
Yes. Uh-huh.
This
The
was actually a
unit
club called
clinic.
688 back in the day.
Okay. Okay.
And the back
Okay.
entrance was in the alley right behind Apache.
Wow.
And it was only a short period of time. And I think Loretta's might have been open at the same time, I think. And maybe Loretta's opened up shortly afterwards. Because Loretta's was a lot of fun. I mean, it's hard for me to say, but what resonated with me the most was that club. Rod Cole was the DJ, and but it was a lot of fun. It wasn't a huge club.
Mm-hmm.
I would say easily probably 250, 300 people packed was in there. But
Okay.
I mean, it was just the crowd was just great. It was just Ron did an excellent job with music. The crowd it was more mixed than it is today. You would see more, it was more mixed. It was predominantly black, but it was more mixed, women and men, gay women and men.
Mm-hmm.
And we just don't get that too often here in Atlanta. And that's what house music, particularly to me, is like the era I've come from, and what I try to still make happen to this day. It's inclusive. Everybody is welcome. I want everybody to come. As long as you don't have a problem with anybody, just come and enjoy the music. But that's what I miss about the Friends was at this club called Weekend Warehouse. So that's what would have come. But I had great times at Loretta's. I had great times at Tracks. I had even a decade before, several years before moving here, it was a club called In Between. And that was it was the early 80s. And that was nice. But Atlanta has had so many clubs. I mean, gosh, I probably like there's been, I mean, you know, you think about the Palace, you think about, uh, gosh, there's just been so many clubs. Like the 708
Back
with,
Street.
yeah, Backstreet, which, you know,
Was there a place called the Metro?
it was a Metro, I think on Peachtree. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was, Um, I had only been there a couple of times, but it was a little more like a little small bar from what I
Okay.
recall. But also during the mid to late 80s, there was what was a before Loretta's was Foster's. And Foster's was on Peachtree right at 10th. It was right next to what's called the Margaret Mitchell House,
Okay.
right there.
Yes.
Right next to that was Foster's, and that was that was a real nice club bar that people attended. Well, the, the lady Loretta who owned it moved over to Spring Street and opened up Loretta's.
Okay. I have a person I call my play mama who is here, who party here years before I was old enough to come, relocated to Atlanta and start partying, start hanging out. He would tell me about a place called, was it the Pearl Garden?
Paragon.
Okay. And was that
Pearl, yeah, I mean, it's the Paragon.
the Pear Garden? Okay, so it's the Pear Garden. Was that downtown? Because from what I understand, if I recall, like vaguely, there was a place down by where the Georgia State Rialto Theater used to be, where on that, what street is that?
Lucky Three?
No, it wasn't Lucky. It's actually down there where the Rialto is now, that part of the Georgia State campus where that ooh, I'm losing my train of thought now as far as the name of that street is concerned. But
Was it in a little alleyway or was it on the main street?
in that, yeah, where the Broad Street and that little one-way street kind of section, I just remember there were a couple places. I wasn't even old enough to get into those places, but I heard about them. And when you said Ritz Boys earlier, I remember there was a place called the Ritz. I think you had to go upstairs.
Yeah.
And it was you could see literally the Coca-Cola sign, the old
Right.
Coca-Cola sign.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
that
not
came
making
along
that
later.
Okay.
That the Brits came along later, but it was the same guys. It was Philip and David and those guys that own it. But ironically, that's what the area where you're describing is where I started with them. It was a little bitty street called Poplar Street. And
That's it. Poplar Street. Yeah. Okay.
so yeah, I started off with them there. We used to do late night parties and yeah, so yeah, that's where I started with them guys. And then, like I said, after we left there, we did a club around the corner on just a block over on Lucky Street. It was called Secrets, and we did that for probably about a year before we opened up tracks. And Sylvester actually came and performed there. And
wow.
And so yeah, it was really a nice spot. And we did several things. Gosh, it was even a hotel right there on Lucky Street called the Atlanta Hotel. We used to do parties on the rooftop there. It was quite a bit. Atlanta is fun and it's still a lot of things going on. But for you ask about clubs and that the period, the era that did it for me was when I moved here in '86. I was up to the early '90s.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta club scene it was really a lot of fun. It was really a fun period of time, and Atlanta definitely had its share of queer and queer clubs, and even just a ton of black clubs during that time. And so to answer one particularly, I only use Friends, the organization Friends/Weekends, because musically that's what appealed to me. I enjoyed it pretty much every time. But I enjoyed going to several spaces. Like I said, it could have been Loretta's. I mean, obviously, I was playing at tracks, maybe still playing tracks during that time. And but it was just several things. And it was just, if you didn't feel like being in a dance club, you could have went to a little drink bar like the Pear Garden, or and just several spaces throughout the city. And like you said, it could have been a metro, it could have been wherever. Or you could have went to those places earlier, and then you felt like dancing, you would come to Loretta's, or you would come to Tracks, or you would come to 688 a weekend or whatever. But so yeah.
As we wrap up, something you were saying this just made this pop up in my mind. Another memory was unlocked. I recall, and I believe, I'm not gonna say it was, I'm not directly quoting, but I believe it was DJ Cedric once said that the biggest change, or the change when he knew that things had changed in Atlanta, was when they moved the house DJ upstairs into the boom boom room, which was at the very top, and brought the hip hop downstairs to the main floor. And he marked that as a pivotal moment in I guess the culture, and I guess just the appreciation for house music and things changing as far as dancing is concerned. Would you agree to say, like my generation, we came in, we started integrating hip hop into the partying, because hip hop had become the major culture, especially for us coming up. That's what we related to. And so, yes, we love some house music, but then we were also wanting to hear some Biggie and some Lil Kim at the same time. What were your thoughts in around that era when things shifted?
Well, I agree with Cedric. That was a very pivotal moment. And fortunately for me, I didn't go through it per se, because I left Atlanta for a few years. So that was that mid-90s-ish era.
Okay.
When that occurred. And you're right. And but I would come back here, or wherever I am, I could see that happening. And what you stated is so true. And it was, I want to use my words, it was, I don't want to say disheartening, but it was, I know, again, we progress with times, and we go with things that, in most cases, go with things that are happening during that era and time. So, we can't always be stuck in the past, if you will. But I knew that was the hip hop thing, when it became popular, and it had integrated into the Black gay clubs particularly. It was because, obviously, I'm a house head till the day I die.
Right.
But I mean, I have an appreciation for hip hop and all that, because obviously I worked in a record store, so I know all various forms of music, and so I appreciate them. But to see that culture integrated into the Black gay club, it was a little sad for me, because the Black gay clubs and Black Latin and the gay clubs have always were known for the trendsetters. We didn't follow what was mainstream. We didn't follow what was on radio, this and that. We set the tone for fashion, for music, for whatever was hot and this and that. And to see that the Black gay club particularly wanted to follow radio and the videos on TV and stuff, it changed the dynamic. So yeah, he makes a very valid point. And so by it becoming that, we lost the house. I just think that, I'm trying to say this without being negative or coming across as fence. I'm sure not every club that integrated hip hop was a bad or a negative experience, but I just think when it became that, it changed the dynamic and even the mentality, if you will, of how gay men carry themselves. Trying to emulate what they seeing perhaps on video or listening to music. It was just shocking and mind blowing to me. So yeah, he's right. And so when I moved back to the city, which was around the Olympics time and stuff, I started DJing again, but I started playing most on straight clubs, and then eventually got back to playing both. Now I play pretty much exclusively Black Gay Club or crowd. And so it's been refreshing to me to see over the past decade that it's been an appreciation or resurgence, if you will, for what started off, even though it's once a month or twice a month now what I do, but to see, again, back to the point you were making earlier, to see it get back to the house and what I do, and the younger crowd is embracing it. That's what so I feel good. But yeah, during that era in time, it changed the 90 mid 90 ish. It changed that when the crowd embraced hip hop, it changed the dynamic of the club. So Cedric is right. It did change. And again, to your point about establishment, um, I know business has to do what's in their best interest to make money, but again, all money, it may not. If it's something that you're doing and you changing the dynamic, it may be successful for 6 months or a year, but if you don't stick to what's who's been supporting you and being consistent, you're going to probably lose out in the long run. I know I got sidetracked to your question, but just making me think about all of that.
No, and but no, I want you to express that because I think those are all the things that go into a sentiment that is being felt, but nobody knows how to put it into words specifically about what has happened to the landscape and to the atmosphere of the places that we're going to and that we're frequenting. But I am happy that I've had this opportunity to speak with you and to revisit those days, but also to give people an idea of what it really takes. Like community it's like what people say about the church. Church isn't a building.
Right.
Church is wherever you are.
That's true.
And they say where two or more are gathered, and that's a sentiment that I think we can take with us and explore. But please, Ron, I'm so appreciative of your time, but please let the people know where they can find you online, and how they can, if they're not already a part of your flock, how they can, become a part of their flock and make sure that they keep up with you, whether you're in Atlanta or wherever you tour. Please let them know how they can keep up with you.
Well, social media is going to be the best way to follow me right now or to stay up with what I'm doing. Of course, I am on Facebook as Ron Pullman Soul. Pullman Soul being one word. You can reach me on Facebook and on IG, Instagram, Pullman Soul. And usually on both of my accounts or pages, I keep the latest flyers, or I keep a schedule of events that I'm doing. So you can just hit me up on those, and that will be the best way to contact me, as well as stand up on the events that I'm doing. It's again my social media pages, and but also if you're in the Atlanta area, you can catch me first and third Fridays at the Atlanta Eagle. That's the Atlanta Eagle.
Ron Pullman, once again, thank you. Thank you so much, not just for spending this time with me and doing this interview for the podcast, but for what you've done, period. Like for the building blocks that you laid down for not just the party people, but also, for people who coming behind you who want to DJ, who have this ambition of becoming a DJ, not necessarily a house DJ, but knowing that there's some foundational things that we all as DJs need to practice.
Right.
And the community that you created, I think, is a long-lasting testament to all the work that you've done. So thank you. I appreciate you, Ron Pullman.
Well, no, thank you. I appreciate you reaching out to me and giving me this platform to express myself. And I'm grateful to you and Jay for making this happen.
Thank you for listening to I Come Alive, Stories of Black Gay Atlanta Nightlife. Brought to you by Q Points Productions. Special thanks to the Counter Narrative Project 2024 Media Roundtable for their support as well. Make sure you become a Q Point subscriber so that you don't miss the next episode of I Come Alive.